The Smith & Wesson Model 59, let's check it out. Today we're going old school. In 1954, Smith & Wesson introduced their Model 39. It was a single stack 9mm semi-automatic pistol. It was the first double-action semi-automatic pistol made in the United States. In 1970, the U.S. Navy got in touch with Smith & Wesson, and they were looking for a Model 39 that would accept staggered magazines, and really specifically the Browning high-power magazines, because of the capacity of 14-in-1. Smith & Wesson introduced the Model 59 in 1971, and even though it was rejected by the U.S. Navy, it was introduced to the civilian market. And it really began the high-capacity 9mm revolution in the United States. Starting out with, this is their first generation, Gen 1. There were some additions made to the Model 59, but this is just the Model 59, which has an aluminum frame with a steel slide. It's a very manageable handgun, and it was very popular. But from that, in 1980, they came out with the Model 459. A little bit later on, they came out with their Gen 3 series, which was the Model 5906, which was hugely popular. And guys, in a world of polymer striker fire pistols, I really love to get these vintage handguns. There's just some soul about them that I just love, and yet they're still very viable. I was on the Century Arms website and went over to the surplus corner, which I am prone to do because they are always getting in all kind of unusual, different type firearms from all over the world. From all indications, I believe that this is an Israeli police trade-in. Now, one thing that I always say on surplus firearms is that when they first come into the country, the prices are pretty good and there's an abundant supply. But once they dry up, the prices go up and they become scarce. The Model 59, being a Generation 1 of your Smith & Wesson semi-autos, being second in line right after the Model 39 like we've talked about. With the double stack magazine or the staggered magazine, it makes this a great gun. I mean, it's got a good high capacity to it. And originally, of course, the 14-in-1. We're going to go ahead and drop the magazine, check to make sure the gun is unloaded, and it is. 14-in-1 with the early models, and then it went up to the 15-in-1. One of the things about this pistol is without the magazine, it has a magazine disconnect. And so you're going to have to reinsert your magazine to be able to drop the hammer. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and show you the safety here, and it's actually a decocker, and then it's a safety. So if you just decock it, it's in the safe mode. Pop that decocker off, and then it goes into double action on the first round, and then all subsequent rounds the hammer will be in the rear position. One of the things about the Model 59 over the Model 39 is they came in with a straight back strap. And that was one of the criteria the U.S. Navy was asking for because they wanted it more like the 1911. So the grip itself, even though it's wider, it's very similar to the 1911, has a nice beaver tail, and then the mag release is right there about where the 1911 is. So, the controls are very simple. Of course, you have your slide release right here. Serrations here on the back strap and on the front strap, and they're just linear, they're straight, but it actually feels pretty good in your hand as far as, having a good grip on it. It has the nylon grips with some checkering right here, and so it's a good thing you have these serrations that go down the side. This is a three-piece grip though. You have your two panels here, and then the rear part of the aluminum, this metal, is actually detachable as part of the grip. Of course, with some of the later models, I know the Gen 3s, they had a complete wraparound grip that fit across all the way where the back strap is. There are some other similarities that make it kind of similar to the 1911, mainly because of the era that it was going on. And of course, this right here, this cut, is one of those things. The sights are adjustable. In the rear, it's kind of a different type sight, but you can change the windage. And I don't think there's any elevation on this. And then the front is definitely fixed. I mean, there's no way to actually move that. So some of the later models had ears to protect the sights and the back, and you've seen a lot of those where it just has two kind of wings that come up. The hammer spur is nice, it's easy to grab, and so even if it was in the decock position, you could pull the hammer back for that first shot. And then of course that beaver tail rides really high, and I think that would probably protect most people from hammer bite. The trigger pull is nice. We're going to take a little bit closer look at that in a minute. And right here marked Model 59. There are some other designations you'll find here and there. And then of course Century Arms, Georgia, Vermont. One thing I love though that Century has done, they used to just put this ugly surplus mark on the pistol, and usually on this side. But this is a lot more tastefully done, and they have to do that to import the pistols. And then of course the Smith & Wesson. But this is a very nice model. I mean, this particular specimen, it was in really good shape. The bluing is nice. There is some marks here and there, but mainly on the frame where it is aluminum. It does have a barrel bushing at the front, but it doesn't disassemble like the 1911, and we'll take a look at that when we disassemble it. But the bluing is very nice. It's the old school Smith & Wesson bluing, and of course has an anodized finish on the frame. The frame itself, because of the 39 was a single stack, it was real thin, and then they've widened that frame out. You'll notice that the beefed up area, it's almost like it just comes and they beefed it up in the milling process when they were designing these. Now with the magazines, being, you know, a Model 59, I mean, that was in 1971, so we're really talking about close to 50 years. And sometimes when you get these old surplus pistols, that can be an issue with magazines, and it only comes with one magazine. One thing I found though is that the Model 5906 mags that I have from Metgar work perfectly. And the great thing is these are already 15-in-1, and you can actually get them in 17-in-1 right here. So you've got a 17-round mag capacity in this pistol, which makes it very nice, and these function well. But originally these were supposed to be designed with a Browning high power mag, which is 14-in-1 as well. They're very similar to the Smith & Wesson magazines, but the cut right here for the mag release is a little bit different, and so the Browning mags do not work. I just checked it just for, you know, kicks, but again, it does not work in this pistol. The slide serrations are nice, easy to grab, but you have your decocker here, which actually aids in being able to bring that slide back. Nice smooth action. The Smith & Wesson pistols actually were very well made. In fact, if they tried to make these pistols today, it would be very expensive. And of course, because of the aluminum frame and the double action, these kind of went out of favor once Glock started, and then all the polymer striker fire pistols came in. Now there's still a number of double single action pistols that are out on the market that are very popular, and one for sure is your SIG P226. But it's kind of funny that this pistol was actually designed for Navy SEALs that were looking for more capacity, and yet in the Smith & Wesson frame, and then they ended up going with the 226. But to me, it's got a very good feel to it. We'll check the weight. 1 pound, 14.6 ounces. Check the trigger. Go ahead and double check to make sure the gun is unloaded. We have to insert the magazine because of the magazine disconnect. The trigger, there's some take up right here. It's pretty free travel. And a decent snap. A little bit of stacking, but not bad at all. We're going to try it one more time. Yeah, that, I mean, it's a decent, nice trigger. We're going to check reset right there. Now that is a really quick reset. That kind of surprises me a little bit. Let's check the trigger pull weight. £5 pounds, 6.7 ounces. 5 pounds, 8.5 ounces. 5 pounds, 4.5 ounces. Pretty consistent. As far as double action trigger pull, 9 pounds, 15 ounces. And that's what I was getting, just under 10 pounds. but it's not a bad double action trigger. I mean, it's pretty consistent all the way through. The accuracy on this pistol, guys, was superb. It astounded me, because sometimes you don't know what you're getting with these surplus pistols. But I think this pistol may have been carried some, but it was shot very little. Thank Freedom Munitions for supplying the ammunition. You get a 5% discount using Suit00 at checkout. Down here at the range, we had no malfunctions, and we were just shooting ball ammunition, but it should handle hollow points without any trouble. I really like the fact that I can use the 5906 mags or 5903 in this same gun. If you're looking for the original 59 mags, they can be expensive. But you know, Metgar makes great mags, and of course it does come with the original mag as well. And there were a lot of these that were produced, so it's possible to get parts if you need them. But these guns were really built like tanks. I mean, the steel that's in here, the bluing is still nice on this particular model anyway. And I'm sure you can probably get aftermarket grips if you're looking for them. But it just handles very nice. I mean, it is a little bit blocky, kind of old school, but with the serrations on the front and back, it just handles very well. Shooting it, it was very smooth. The crisp trigger was very nice. Whether you're double action or, of course, once you rack the slide, the single action is easy. Thing is, you're going to decock it once you rack that slide if you're going to carry it, and so you need to really practice with that first round, because the first round's you got much heavier trigger pull, and then you're going to the single action. So it'll give you a little surprise if you're not expecting it. But shot smooth, and the recoil was nice on it. Of course, the accuracy, as we've shown, was superb. These guns are not worn out, at least the specimen that I have. Okay, for disassembly, we're going to drop our magazine, check to make sure that the gun is unloaded. We want the hammer in the rear position. Right here is a little notch. It's going to correspond right here to your slide stop. And so once we get this to this point, we're going to bring back our slide like this. You can see we're in the right position. Here on the other side, we're going to take our slide stop. I'm going to use a punch. Sometimes it'll pop through, sometimes it's a little difficult. Just get it started, and it will bring out your slide stop. It's a little tricky, and then just pull it right out. Now you want to release your slide and just go forward. One thing that will happen is your hammer will go forward because your decocker is triggered. And just pull the slide right off. Take our recoil spring and guide rod. It is a metal guide rod and spring. Now take your bushing and move it to about the 4 o'clock position, and then it pulls out. Very similar to the 1911. And there's a little notch here that fits in a groove that goes around. Now we can just take our barrel and pull it right out. Not quite as complicated as your 1911, but a little different than most of your firearms today. So next, to go just in reverse order, bring in your barrel. We're going to take our barrel bushing, go ahead and get it set into place, and then take your recoil spring and guide rod. This can be a little tricky. There we go. We want to get it just resting on that second notch. Now this is also a point that's a little tricky as well. You want to make sure your hammer is in the down position, and that'll allow for these levers to fold. And once you get past one, there's another one right behind it, and there we go. I'm going to hold that down. Once you get it over, you can bring your hammer back and then get your slide in the right position. Once it's in, snap it into place. One thing I will note is the slide stop does come out just a little bit, and so this is fully seated into the pistol. Take your magazine, insert it, function test, and we're good to go. Now as far as price goes, there's a big range. With the surplus pistols, you're getting them for a much lower price, but for American-made U.S. Pistols, they are running all the way up to $600–700 according to the condition. And so with the surplus, I did see a number of them for around the $339 range. And to me, that is a fantastic price for this pistol. Again, guys, surplus pistols, when they first come in, it's usually in large numbers and they have a decent price. Once they sell out and the supply dwindles, these pistols will go up in value. And really the import marks on this one are so small. So it just really helps to keep the value, though. A nice pistol, and yet you're getting it for a good price. And again, just check out Century Arms Surplus Corner, and you can have your dealer get in touch with them, and you can order one. Or you can get on Gunbroker, whatever. I'm not selling these YouTube. I'm just kind of giving some people some ideas. But this is a really great pistol, has a lot of soul to it. It's old school, but yet it's still very viable today as a self-defense option. As far as pros and cons, it's a very high quality Smith & Wesson pistol. It does hold the 14 up to 17 in 1 for your magazines. Magazines are available. It's a proven design. These have been around, again, almost 50 years. They are aluminum framed instead of the polymer frame like you're seeing a lot of, but there's still a lot of double single action pistols that are out on the market and newly manufactured. So that's not really a problem. Probably if you crack the grips or some of the parts, maybe a little more difficult to find. That would be probably one of the only cons. As far as this pistol in particularly, the accuracy was phenomenal. And so it's, I guess it's hit or miss with that. Sometimes you can find some that have really been shot out. But overall, I think this is an excellent handgun if you're looking for something a little different and something with this really high quality. I think that the Smith & Wesson Model 59 is a great choice. Now again, I want to thank Century Arms for sending this pistol for the test and evaluation. And guys, run over to their collector's corner, just at the top of the page on their website, and you can look at all the different guns that are available. And you can have your dealer get in touch with them or whatever. Now, I'm not selling guns, YouTube, so but that is a great way to find them, to see what they have to offer. And again, you can have your dealers to get in touch with them. But there is a lot of different guns. But as soon as I saw the Model 59 was available, I jumped on it. Typically, they have different grades as well. So check it out. It's a lot of fun to see what's available. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Double action semi-automatic pistol. It's got, of course, the decocker, which I'm not a big fan of. Right there where your takedown pin is, or your slide stop. Okay. And again, thanks for Century Arms for giving us this pleasure.